Hello everyone, WallaceMan105 here, and we're back today with another episode of Rail Tech. Today's episode will show you how to take your rails to the next level of your building. The next level of your building.
We're talking about elevators.
Before we get to elevators, I want to start by going over stopping. Nearly all methods for stopping carts rely on using the same mechanic. Powered rails with no redstone signal will deduct large amounts of momentum from carts for every tick they spend on them. Pretty much the inverse of how they work for accelerating them. However, this can be difficult to control with precision since different carts can move at different speeds on the same track. See episode 2 for details. Also, carts don't just start moving again because the rail beneath them becomes powered. The key tricks then are stopping at a precise location and restarting your carts. So let's go over your options and how each one works. Starting with the most classic, we have the block stop. Placing an unpowered rail against a solid block will essentially allow you to double the amount of time that cart will spend on the rail, and this is generally your best option for the end of a line. However, as you see in this old school design, it can be used in a way that allows you to continue on after a short stop. We also have a block stop off to the side where powering the rail can also send us back along the track. Another option is to use some tricks with water placement and a displacer to push us along for restarting. So you can see the block stop is extremely reliable for stopping on the block you want to stop on, and can be set up in a number of ways to make restarting your cart easy. Next up, we have the drop stop. This one does exactly what it says. Dropping a cart removes most of its horizontal momentum, and you can get it to stop on the rail below. This method is reasonably precise for location, but it does require a bit more vertical space than the rest. If you're building near the top of the nether for a network, this might not fit. And it's also worth noting that the current minecart experiments in Java snapshots change how carts fall, so this might not work in the future. Next up is the dip stop. By placing two opposing slopes, like so, you get to stop your cart on a downhill, allowing it to easily restart when you power the rails. This method is great for the restart, but the stop precision of it can be very poor at higher speeds. We can improve the precision by building a regulator, like so. In this configuration, the observer sees the detector rail update, which fires the dispenser, and when the cart leaves, it'll clean itself up. This lets our full speed cart stop exactly where we want it to, but obviously since it involves water, not going to work very well in the nether. Last on our list of stop types, we introduced some moving pieces with the piston stop. If we go ahead and switch on hitboxes here, you can see that the cart's hitbox will collide very nicely with the glass block here, allowing us to stop with perfect precision on this slope. And since we're building it on a slope, restarting is easy as pie. As long as you have the space for this, it's pretty much your best option, and just make sure you use a transparent block so you don't suffocate any players. However, stopping your carts isn't always enough. Removing carts from your track is also an important part of maintaining your rail network, especially on servers where too many entities can impact performance for everyone. The old school method for this is simply building a cactus into the end of your line with a hopper underneath to catch the cart. This method, while very reliable, is a little bit clunky, needing a 4x1 area to work properly, and you're also limited with what blocks you can put next to the cactus, because it'll break too. The newer hotness over the past few years for cart breaking is cart yeeters, which rely on the damage that lava cauldrons can deal to carts if they clip through the edge. By placing any pillar or gate-shaped block above the cauldron, and any non-full block above this rail, the cart will try to snap onto the rail below, and that will cause it to clip into the lava and drop into this hopper here. Now, ordinarily, the cart item would always land in the hopper directly below the cauldron, and if it was a hopper or a chest minecart, the items inside would land on the rail, allowing them to be picked up by a separate hopper. This allows you to reliably and immediately separate up to 5 stacks of items from your hopper carts to be filtered into your storage. Unfortunately, and I believe this is an issue caused by the paper jar, the way these entities get handled is tweaked slightly, I'm assuming for performance reasons. This means that your hopper minecart will always land on the rail instead, needing to be picked up like so. If we come over to this one and we see where the lights turn on, you can see that it passes through that way. So unfortunately, on paper, this doesn't work. If anyone here does know a workaround, please let me know. Finally today, we move on, or should I say move up, to elevators. Moving carts vertically has always taken a bit more space and work than anything else, but there's a variety of options. Starting with old reliable, we have the spiral loop. The only difficult part about building these is remembering to space out the slopes, since corner rails can't climb and turn at the same time. Something I came up with for an old build is this stairwell variant. It's a small twist on the spiral. It just makes space for stops on multiple floors. Still in the old school category, we have slime block elevators. Ever since the Observer came out, these are able to be built far more compactly and with much smoother movement. Definitely more resource intensive than your other options, but you can always guarantee winning style points with these bad boys. Now, if you're in the overworld, you really can't beat the simplicity and speed of a bubble elevator. Carts, like every entity, will get floated up by soul sand bubble pillars. Once at the top, you simply need a tripwire system to see the cart land and send it along, and you'll be set. Finally, today we're covering a mechanic that I myself don't fully understand, but I do plan to learn more about in the future. Waterlogged mangrove roots. As you can see, by sending a cart into these slopes, it'll climb on its own as it snaps from rail to rail. As someone who doesn't understand it, it looks pretty slow and janky, like slower than a bubble tower. So I imagine that this is useful for some specific tech, and I'm gonna go ahead and just assume it's a storage tech. So please, comment down below if you know any good techs or resources for this mechanic. Alrighty guys, that's going to wrap up not only this episode of Rail Tech, but this first section of this series. This video wraps up the basics of minecarts. Moving forward, this series is going to start covering build tutorials, plugin, mod showcases, and just general tips and tricks for minecarts that I find throughout the community and want to share. I'm really looking forward to getting into this next chapter of Rail Tech, and I'm super excited. Until next time, guys, I'm Wallace. I hope you learned something, and remember to take it easy.